Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope you are having an amazing day today. I am your girl, Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. And today we're going to have a really good conversation. The first thing I want you to do, if you are not following, you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe, hit that like button, and comment below. Engage. That's 100% free. You don't have to pay anything to do that, but I would appreciate if you support your girl in this channel, whether it's on Facebook or it is on YouTube, because these are the things that we need to get the channel to grow. All right. So every Monday to Friday, I'm live 7 a.m. Central Time, releasing some form of God inspired message. And well, today is no different. So I was working on my blog yesterday, and I put the link in the description so you can go ahead and read the new blog post. It is catered towards my singles, so anyone who is in a dating space. And single single means, okay, single means not married. So dating and married, dating, you're not married. Engaged, you're not married. You are in a relationship, you're not married. So that conversation, that blog post is for everyone who is not married. But I was writing about dating narratives because I want to help as many people to unlearn the narratives that they're formulating. Good morning, Paula. I want to help those people to unlearn the narratives that they're formulating in their mind, right? And to redevelop a new narrative that aligns with the life that they desire. Now that becomes hard for some people because a lot of individuals don't want to identify what is those narratives that they have been living with from the time that they might have been born or whatever that new narrative entered their lives. So when I wrote Dear Single in Love, it was a book that was going to help those singles when they're in their season of single. And I just think that there was a part it is missing in that book, and that is about the narratives, the way that we speak about dating, the way that, not even dating, let's take the word dating out, the way that we speak about relationships, right? That's the part that we're finding a challenge, the way that people are speaking about relationships. So that's something that I was working on yesterday. So please go and support the new blog post that is up. But as I was working on it, I heard God saying, they're not fully surrendering to me. Now I'm up here just trying to do what I do, right? And I'm just like, okay, God, yeah, like I know, like, people don't surrender. So we're going to talk about surrendering, right? And this is not only with your love life. The problem that many of us are doing is like we have all these problems, right? So there's like two pals. This is the pal, I got it. And this is the pal, I'll give it to God. The problem is that when it comes to what we're willing to deal with, we're willing to deal with a lot more. Good morning, Bola. Right? Our pile of I'm gonna deal with the things that I want to deal with, and the ones that I don't, I'm gonna give it to God. And believe it or not, more people are giving less to God. They're surrendering less to God. So that's why I knew it wasn't just about the dating; it was just about life. But dating, relationships, love life, it is one of the hardest things for people to surrender. Bola. I was telling them, I know you came on a little bit late. I was working on the new blog post, and it's catered to my singles. It's about the dating narratives, unlearning your dating narratives, and redefining your dating narratives. And then this just downloaded yesterday. And so I said, okay, all right, God, I'm gonna talk about it. So I got 5 points. I'll probably do three today, and then again tomorrow I will not be here physically live. It's gonna be a pre-recorded. So I am gonna pre-record that today and just have that scheduled out for tomorrow. So whatever ones that we don't get through today will be a part two for that for tomorrow. Just to put that disclaimer out there. So what is a true surrender? Right? Is what I just described. You're gonna give God all or nothing. And so the one thing that the scenario that I kept hearing when I was listening to God last night about relationships is that we tell God, some people, yes, but look, Paula, get to know each other. I tell God, like, okay, I hear people say, I'm gonna give it all to God, right? I'm gonna surrender it. So these are the people that have probably gone from having like this laundry list of like, he got to be 6'1", he got to be chocolate, he got to have hazel eyes. They might have surrendered that. I have met and encountered people that have gone through that growth spurt, because that's a growth, right? For someone to go from a laundry list of physical characteristics, okay, because that's usually where most people, that's where their focus is, okay. And I'm not talking about the ones that's like, it's like we're at that point where we're like, I'm ready to surrender. So they're going through a growth spurt of saying, okay, I don't need the 6'1", I don't need him to be chocolate with hazel eyes, and a dimple. They're willing to surrender that and go into this. So God, I will surrender this all to you. One of my favorite gospel songs. But how they do it is they will do it in a way of they're still going to put God in a box. God is not going to do it this way. He's not going to do it that way. I'm not going to meet him this way. He's not going to do this. He's not going to make this. He's not going to make money less than this. They still put these limitations. And unfortunately, when you do that, you're still partially surrendering. The one beautiful thing that we have to understand is that God can do all things. And if you believe that God can do all things, then there is no need for buts, right? So when I hear people say God can do all things, I trust God with everything. But if there is a but, that means that there is some doubt. If there is a but, that means that you don't trust him fully. You're not fully ready to surrender. And it is 100% superficial, Bola. It is. Bola had posted something when I was speaking, trying to get better at just getting my thoughts through before I move on. I'm actually working on something in reference to this, and what I'm learning, unlearning, and relearning. Yes. And that is what I am so excited to hear, because that's what so many people have to do. That's what I had to do. I had to unlearn things. I had to learn new things, and then I had to relearn some of the old things, right? So what we have to do is fully understand what true surrendering is. If you believe that God can do all things, if you believe that God is going to bring that person however he wants to do it. So this is the reason why we have to be so obedient to when God is telling us to do things. Okay? If God tells you to go somewhere, go. Right? Again, we got to get out of this. I hope when I go out today, I meet someone, right? We got to get out of that. Just get into obedience. Be obedient to what God is telling you, because if you're trusting that he's going to bring this person into your life, that means that you're going to have to trust everything in your life in his hands. You can't sit here and be like, I hear God telling me to do this, but I don't think it's going to be anybody there. Like I hear, and again, because I'm in a new city, and a lot of the times it's a lot of single women in Tulsa remote, right? And the one thing that we keep complaining about is like, where's the single men? Because there's a lot of married men. I will say Tulsa is a very heavy, deep in the marriage realm in Tulsa. And I love that about the city, because you end up encountering, like, if you want to have conversations with married people, from good, healthy marriages to, girl, why are you still there? You can have those conversations, right? You can have all of those conversations. So it's like, what is God telling you to do? Do it, right? Go where he tells you to go, because he can use any of those situations, right? I saw a TikTok last year, and this made me think about this, because the lady said that in 2021, God told her to download this particular app, right? She was not an app person. She was like, why would I download the app? Like, but she said she just kept hearing it so clear. And then this was not influenced by other people, because other people in her circle were also not, even though we were like still kind of in the peak of the pandemic, they still were not like keen. They were like, look, we're going to have to still trust that he'll see me with my mask on in Trader Joe's or Whole Foods. But she said she heard God so clear. And she said she went on there. She said this was totally new. She had to even Google, what do I say? And that in between 2020 and I felt like 2023, you had all these dating coaches. They was out here, they was telling you how to create your bio, how to make it appealing. And she did that. And she said she surrendered and she did what God told her to do because she heard clear instructions. And she did that. And then she ended up meeting her husband on that particular dating app. So again, this is about obedience. This is not about what you want. This is about what God wants. And because God knows where that person is, we got to keep remembering. And I'm probably not going to get to all three. I just feel like God's kind of moving this message. You got to remember, God operates from the end. He already knows the end. He already knows how it's going to work. So why would you not want to surrender? He's the best matchmaker that we can ever get. He's the best matchmaker. Because he knows the ends. He already knows how this is going to play out. He already knows where you're going to meet him. So why would you not be obedient and do what he tells you to do? And do it the way he tells you to do it. Stop listening to what society. This is the reason why Romans 12:2 is the scripture that I stand on, because so many of us are conforming to what society is telling you. Society is telling you all of these narratives, and you got to get to a point where you're like, I'm tired of listening to what you're telling me, and I want to take a chance and see what God is going to do when I just do it his way. If we get to the point where we say, I'm ready to do it your way, I'm ready to surrender, I'm ready to surrender my heart, my feelings, my desires, my taste buds, every single thing, things are going to start to shift. And again, this goes for every aspect of your life. But I feel like as Christians, we really struggle with the love aspect of surrendering to God. We'll go to him for our jobs. We will go for him for that financial breakthrough. We need that debt cancellation. Oh, we'll surrender that. Lord, I'll put it at your feet. But once God says, okay, I want to be a part of the picking of your person, the person that I need you to do ministry with, the person that I need you to do purpose with, the person that I need you to enjoy the rest of your time on this earth with, you're not going to surrender that? Oh, no. Right? So I want to talk about why some people are afraid of surrendering, right? Why they struggle with this. And the first thing is that they are afraid of the control, right? I hear this all the time. People would say to me, Tanisha, I'm afraid that God is going to give me someone that I don't like. Why would you ever think that God would do that to you? Because the only way that you would believe that would happen is if you're still operating out of your flesh. The only way you would think that God is going to send you someone that you do not like is if you're not fully operating in the spirit and you're fully operating in the flesh. Bola said he knows your temperament. Oh, come on, Bola. I was supposed to do that last Friday. Girl, you about to Bola, send me that. Bola over here about to have me, because I've never heard of this one. Derek Prince, God is a Matchmaker. Okay, we gotta go get that book. Singles, we're gonna get that book. We're gonna have a book club. We're gonna end up having a book club. I already know this. All right. So you're afraid of losing control. You believe that God is not gonna do the right thing. He's not gonna bring you someone that you like. Let go of that control. Because this is where it's either faith or it's gonna be fear. So I'd rather you let go of the fear and have faith. Right? So that's the first thing. The second one is that you don't believe that God is going to, again, going back to what I said, you don't believe that it's going to align with your desires. Again, this is the reason why before anyone, that's what the blog post is about. The blog post is really about getting you out of this mindset. I'm going to drop this in the chat. When we finish, you can go ahead and check it out. If you're still worrying, if you feel like God will not give you your heart's desires or will not align with your desires, I guarantee you can also go to the link tree and you can get the same link. I guarantee you haven't gotten aligned with God's desires for you. If you get my book, Dear Single in Love, chapter 3, that's the hardest chapter for people, for women, especially for women. Women struggle with chapter 3 because chapter 3 has nothing to do with physical features. It has everything to do with character and personality. Well, not personality, character and your characteristics. And that's where a lot of people are not in alignment. So you might have gotten rid of the list of him being 6'1", chocolate with hazel eyes. But there's still certain things that you're not realizing God wants you to have. He wants you to have a desire for a mate that's going to be a protector, that's going to be a problem solver, that's going to allow God to lead him so that he can lead you and your family. Like, there's just so many different things. So you might have to get into that quiet space. Again, before you download, before you go to any speed dating, you can't, if someone approaches you in the street and you're in that season, hey, that might just be God saying, I'm gonna put this in it, I'm gonna put this out here for you, and you and God pray and work through that. But before you do that, you got to get into alignment of what God desires for you. Right? Because that's the only way that you're gonna have faith that he's gonna send you someone that aligns with your desires. So you might still have your own personal desires that is nowhere near aligned where God has the desires for you. And that's where I want you to spend that quiet time. That's where I want you. You might have to get on your face and cry and surrender it all. You may have to play CC Winans as you are as you're out here listening and praying, and get that and let it penetrate your spirit, because you're not surrendering. And you're struggling because you are afraid of letting go of that control, right? You are afraid of letting go of that control, right? God places your desires if you're aligned. That's right. Like, we know this. We're saying this because we've gone through these struggles of wanting what we want, and God wasn't giving that to us. And the moment that we got into alignment, right? Because we got into the alignment of what he desired. Y'all think that I wanted this type of life? Being an inspirational speaker, inspiring people, healing people, teaching people about purpose and how to get a closer relationship with God. You think that's what I desired? No, I didn't. But once I got into that relationship with God, because, and you know what, and this just dropped in my spirit, it's harder for us to want what God wants for us when we don't have that strong relationship with him. And that's one thing I've noticed about me. I was in, look, 2012, when I sat on the side of that bed and I cried out to God for the first time, genuinely, like genuinely knowing I am opening up my heart because I need him. Okay. Prior to that, I wasn't doing that. Like, we'll call out on God because you might be getting a beating from your mama, or you might call out to God because something might be happening. But is it a genuine, like, look, I have nowhere else to turn to? Sometimes you might just got to get back to that space, right? Exactly, Bola. If you don't trust him, you're gonna continue to resist him. Let me tell y'all what happened. Some of y'all are not on my Facebook page. So if you have heard me talk about Jelly Bean, if you ever heard me, I've spoken about Jelly Bean mainly on Facebook. Jelly Bean is the dog that lived next door to me, and I became so attached to him. But I think we both have commitment issues. And it's funny, but it's not funny, because I feel like God is testing me in this season about being responsible for another. But no, whatever. So Jelly Bean, I named him Jelly Bean, but the neighbors, they kind of let him go, and he was just like running up and down the block. He stayed in the streets. He's a street dog. Last time I saw Jelly Bean was December 27th. And I was trying to take him because I had someone that was willing to keep him while I was in Colombia, but then I couldn't find him. And I mean, I'm driving around the neighborhood and I'm like looking, because he's a little chihuahua. So, they're not a pit bull. They're not going to be flying. And so I kept thinking about him. And when I came back, I thought I was going to see him. When I came back, I didn't. And I remember having a dream that I saw him like walking down the street, but I was in an Uber. And when I asked the Uber to pull over, he was already, because I was speed limited so fast, he was already like 2 blocks by the time I was like, oh, wait, I think that was him, pull over. And then when I went back, I didn't see him. So I was like, okay, I feel like he's still alive. And so fast forward to like maybe 2 weeks ago, I had a dream that he was with a white dog. And I was like, a white dog? So I thought he went on to glory. I thought Jelly Bean had died. And so over the weekend, like Friday, I said, God, if you allow me to find Jelly Bean, I will keep him. And I would trust that you will work this out so that whenever I do need to travel, that he's going to be safe, that he's not going to be out in these streets, but that we will have each other because it's a connection between a human and a dog that no one understands, not even me, but I just love this dog so much. Can I tell y'all that yesterday God told me to do a Google reverse search of his picture and I found him? Like God told me take a picture because he came up in my store. He came up on my photos thing, and I was just like, God, like I have like the pet love database, and he hasn't been listed there. And they usually pick up from like Facebook groups and stuff like that. They never picked him up. Someone did do a Facebook group. I mean, a Facebook post January 1st. I was like, when I saw him, I was like, I think that's him. And it was close to where I live, but she noticed that she found him. So I reached out to her. Don't you know she still got my baby? She still got him. So when I come back, because I'm leaving to go to New York tomorrow, and when I come back, I'll have him. But I share that because, again, obedience. Do what God is telling you. It doesn't make sense. Do you know, I know pet lovers out there that lost their pets. They're trying to find their pet. And they have probably tried the Google reverse search and it didn't work for them. But God told me to do it and I did it and I found him of all things, of all possible ways. So it's like, if we can trust him with something like that to finding a dog, a little cute chihuahua, why would you think that God cannot find your husband? Why do you think God can't find the job for you, the house, the apartment, the car, the financing, the funding for your business? Why can't we believe that? So we're so good at, God, I can trust you with this, but I can't trust you with that. No, it's time for us to check that. Check the last time. When's the last time you trusted God with something? Like fully surrendered and it worked out. When was some of y'all need to go back to that. You need to go back to the last time God did that. And how did that work out? So many of us forget. We just keep going. We keep going. No, God is like, trust me. I'm going to help you to navigate this. And it's all going to work out for your good as long as you trust me. But if you're resisting, if you're fighting, if you're like, no, I can do it better. I could have probably went out here because it was so heavy on my heart this weekend. I could have went out there and made flyers. They probably wouldn't have seen the flyer. But they put up a post, and because Google has a reverse search that I found out about. If you want to know about that, I found out about that on Catfish. You're welcome. Catfish, you will learn that if you need to find an image and see where it originated from, Google reverse search will actually help you out. And in this case, it helped me find my baby. And that was all because I trusted God. I was just like I miss him. I can't take it. Where is the dog? The dog needs to be here. And he led me directly to him. Like it was just the most insane. Every person who called me yesterday when I had sent out the message was like, how did you find him? And when I told them, they was like, no freaking way. And I was like, yes, way. Okay. Last thing, because we have, no, I'm going to stop here. Tomorrow's message is going to go with all three because we're going to go straight through. But like I said, if you haven't surrendered in a while, I want you to go back and reflect. When was the last time you surrendered something to God and that it actually worked out? And what was that pertaining? And you might need to reflect on why was that one so easy to release? Because that's going to help you to identify the resistance. Is it that you don't trust God with everything? You trust him with some things? What things do you think that you can do better than God? Like, you got to be honest with yourself before we can get to the solution of saying, this is what you should be doing. And this is how you got to be honest and saying, I trust God with this, but you know what? I'm not really that sure about that. Be honest with yourself, because the only way that anything can shift is with honesty within you. So what is it that you know? I'm good on this. I know that I can give God all of this, right? When I was in school, I knew I can go back to school and get a degree and get a better job. That I had that. That was me. I'm good, God. Just this check this keep me healthy, keep me safe. But I got this. The realm of me getting a career and me getting a job and getting a degree, I got this. And God was just like, but I didn't ask you to do any of that. Like, especially when I got into an alignment with him, that becomes the hard part because when you get to that point of going from no relationship, no alignment, and now you get aligned, and now it's like, but give me that too. And that's when I started to, that's when I was thinking about this. I went from working a job making $56,000, working 6 days a week, and I got frustrated with that. And I remember praying, and God said, surrender it to me. That's when I did it. I did a fast for 3 days, and I ended up for the following week with 7 job interviews. One of the jobs hired me literally hours after my interview. That was a full-time job, 40 hours a week, working in the city. And it was like decent, it was decent money. The one that I really wanted was a part-time job making like 20 hours a week. And I forgot what the starting pay that they was willing to give me initially. And I was like, I'm gonna take the full-time job because that's what we're told, right? You take the full-time job, you're gonna make more money. I ended up taking the part-time job because they really wanted me. So they was like, look, we are willing to negotiate. So they gave me more money and they gave me more hours. And I think I have shared with y'all, that was the one job that even though I worked part-time, I never got a check that was a full-time check, but I never got a check that was just the hours. Like the 20, it might have been like 25 hours. So I always got closer. I ended up making more money in the part-time job than I did my previous full-time job. I made more money working less hours. And that was because I surrendered. I gave it to God. And I didn't listen to everyone else because everyone else was telling me to take the full-time job. And God kept telling me to take the part-time job. Because if this is what I'm surrendering, we got to get, the world tells us 35, 40 hours a week is the norm. God said, I never said that. Nowhere in Genesis, when God was creating the earth, it never said it took him 8 hours to do this. It just said on day 1, on day 2, right? It outlined by days. It didn't outline by hours. So are we capable of making more in less time? Yes. And I'm proof of that. I'm proof of that because I did that. And it was one of the best jobs that I've ever had. I only left that because, again, you get caught up. Sometimes a lot of us, and this is why I say we're not perfect. I know I'm far from perfect, and I have made many mistakes listening to the wrong people and listening to the wrong counsel and not going to God and staying there with God. So I've gotten on the right path, and then you just start falling right backwards because life starts to happen, and now you're like, oh, well, God, this bill comes up, and I need more money. So now we go out here and we try to do what? Find another job because it's going to now compensate for the money that we need. And it doesn't work out. And this is how we ended up in a situation that I was in from 2019 to 2021. And it wasn't a bad situation because it prepared me for new contracts and helping me to learn new skills. So God, I always say, even when you make a wrong turn, God can also make it for your purpose and make it purposeful. Like I always say, Dr. Bola is one of those people. I feel like I was not supposed to work at the place that we met at, but because God already knew that I was going to be disobedient, he allowed that connection to happen because he knew it was like, all right, fine. She's going to do this. So I need this to be purposeful. But trust me, he was trying to stop me, physically try to stop me from going to take that job. And I remember that clear as day. So that's just something I want to share with y'all. And I really want y'all to reflect on that. Reflect on all those times that you did surrender and how it worked out. And then think about the times that you try to do it your way and it didn't work out, or you were not that pleased. Because it could still work out. Like, if you need the money is going to be there. But are you pleased with what you're doing? Most of us are not, right? We're not. And I admit that for myself as well. So I'm going to stop here. Again, tomorrow's message is going to be a pre-recording, but it's going to be a new message, so don't worry. But I'll be traveling tomorrow. Please connect with me. You can connect with me on my link tree. You can go and you can check out my books, my community. Again, Inspirational Trailblazers. We have a 7 free day trial that you can jump in. We got some amazing things happening this month. Well, the month of May, we have some amazing things happening. So you could definitely want to be around for that one. The courses that I have, and then the blog that I also shared earlier. You can go there and read the newest blog message. Share it with a friend, especially if you have any singles who are struggling to date. They're complaining about dating. You're tired. Send them on over to your girl Tanisha Sinead. I got them. Don't worry. You ain't got to be stressed out. Just send them to me. We're gonna have these conversations, because we need to have these conversations. But yes, I will see you. I will see you tomorrow. But I will see you, like, literally being able to, like, engage and respond to comments on Wednesday. But yeah, when you see me on Wednesday, it'll be 8 a.m. Eastern, and I'll be in New York. So exciting. Yes. So I love you guys. Thank you, Bola. Thank you, Paula. Thank you. I think it's one other person that's out here watching. If you're a silent watcher, we still appreciate you. Share this with 5 friends. Like, comment. And as always, have an amazing day on purpose with purpose.